Hello everybody, this is Kaj King 122 back with another video. I know finally, don't worry, I am not dead. We're reading the NES Godzilla creepypasta yet again. And I don't remember where I was at, so we're just gonna start wherever. After that, I had to choose whether I wanted to play the levels with the hourglass or the TV screen. I picked the latter. What I got was not at all what I expected. Oh yeah, the Deaver Lollipop. When I pressed the button to start a level on the TV screen like I normally would, the screen of an animation popped up. There was also music in the background, which was the goofy GH1DORA music that used to be playing in the quiz levels. I was somewhat unsettled by this because it was just so strange. I also found it a bit spooky because I had a shirt that looked just like that when I was a kid. After starting the animation, you could go back to the board by pressing any button. After that, I had no after that I had no what to no. I think it's supposed to say no idea, but it's no what instead. Whatever. I had no what to expect of the rest of these icons. I went to try an hourglass icon next. I was somewhat relieved when an actual level came up. Got Mothra and looking like she doesn't have the time for this. Sorry for the pun. Actually, no, I'm not. It was certainly an unorthodox looking level. All brown with time measuring instruments floating in the air and gigantic grandfather clocks in the background. The music was the same as the board screen. And very clearly in the level, I encountered something else I didn't expect to see. Original enemies from the game. Oh man, I hate those. And not just that, it seemed to be a whole fleet of them. And the yellow tanks, which were normally immobile, could now move. I took some damage, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. But the most interesting thing about this level was the colored hourglass items. We got ourselves a dark blue one, a red one, and a green one. There were 3 of these. A blue hourglass that made time slow down and filled the level with enemies from the past. A red hourglass that made time speed up and filled the level with enemies from the future. And a green hourglass that set time to normal speed and filled the level with the original game enemies. What type of... Is that from Birth of Mothra 3? That little Triceratops probably is. Some of these are really cool. Dang. YMSF or Bandai or something needs to get on making figures of these. I encountered the blue hourglass first. As stated, the game started to slow down, and I saw the enemies from the past, which are 5 different types of prehistoric animals. I don't know much about prehistory, but I believe all of these enemies represent real animals. The level went into another segment, and I encountered the green hourglass, and then I fought the original enemies again. It was the same 5 types, so I didn't take any screenshots. But in the last segment, I encountered the red hourglass and the enemies that must have been from the future. Now, whether or not the game was showing me 8-bit renditions of the creatures that will actually exist thousands of years into Earth's future, I had no idea. Those aren't 8-bit. But with that thought in mind, I found this particular segment to be very eerie, and it was made more intense because everything moved faster. Let's see what is from the old-timey days. That did not exist. That looks like a cryptid. That looks like it came from Spider-Man. I don't even know what that is. It looks like it came from something by H.R. Geiger. That looks like it came from Star Wars. And that's the same thing. One of the future enemies bore a striking resemblance to something I saw in a book once called Trudon Man. Another looked like some kind of organic spaceship. Oh, those are future enemies. Never mind. And then we have that thing. This red angel thing. There was only one of the 5th type of future creature, and when it appeared, all the others ran for their lives, leaving me alone to battle it. I could fly, but its sprite didn't actually move, and its single attack was firing a lightning bolt from its face. Even so, it was surprisingly powerful, and I suppose it could be considered a mini boss. After defeating it, it left a health power up that restores the health and energy I had lost fighting it, which was convenient. It seemed I would need all the help I could get to beat this world with Mothra alone. After that previous stage, I call Time Warp from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. The next stage appeared to be a toxic waste dump. It's that one sewer level from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. As you can see, the place looked grungy and wait, I think Hedra's gonna be here. And inhospitable. The music was a short looping of an ambient synthesizer song. Listening to it made me feel like I had sniffed some toxic fumes myself, and I was messing with my head the whole time. I even felt like I was choking while playing this level. Just thinking about it's making me choke. That's cool. Those are cool. Is that the moon? The enemies all seem to be mutated to some degree. In the above screenshot, you can see green mummies with bird skulls that jump out of the waste to spit projectiles. There's also a brownish cow skeleton monster with spider legs. Halfway through the level, I even saw one of the deer from the forest. It was alone, and when I saw it, it was drinking toxic waste out of a barrel with an anteater-like tongue. I was moving over to try to make it stop, but then this flock of skull birds came out of nowhere and started attacking. The deer was scared by this and ended up running off the ground into the toxic waste. I feel bad for it. One of the birds bit me, but I regained health quick from killing all of them. They were rather weak. I pressed onward of all the levels in entropy. This is probably the most normal in that there was little deviance from the move forward smash things formula in the original game. That looks like it came from the deadly spawn right there. That looks like something Cthulhu would make. I encountered more creatures through the level, like tentacle blobs and some kind of deformed thing with human-like teeth. I didn't feel like provoking them into a fight, so I kept on flying near the top of the screen. I still had to deal with occasional flock of birds now and then. And then that thing, that looks like a water trimmer. No, water graboid, I mean. At the end of the level was a large bluish green lake, and there I encountered another mini boss. Some kind of a monster with a long neck and a whale's skull. It attacks with a mouth projectile and by charging into you. It could also go underneath the water and rapidly emerge from a different place. It was harder to beat than the boss from the Time Warp, and it had a lot of health because it must have taken me 3 minutes to defeat it. It let out a really loud noise when it died, and then sank back into the water as I left the screen. Back on the board, I went to the nearest level icon I haven't seen yet, which was a white tree. As I guessed, the level was a winter-themed recolor of the forest stage. Still not 8-bit. But unlike the regular forest, I didn't feel unnerved starting this one. I think the music had a lot to do with it. It was a gentle, calm song. It almost sounded romantic. It was quite stress relieving, and the forest itself looked much less ominous, covered in snow. I traveled through the first segment and enjoying the atmosphere for 4 minutes when suddenly I realized something. I haven't seen a single creature since I started the level. Where are all the animals? Soon after I left the screen and the next segment started. In the second segment, I was still in the winter forest, but now the music was gone. I was starting to feel suspicious, but then I reminded myself that there were other empty levels in the game, and this was likely another one of those. But then I heard something familiar. It was a 12-second looping music from Unforgiving Cold starting up. I could feel my heart sink as I came across this horrible sight. It was a whole group of dead deer creatures covered in snow. Judging from the blackish blue tone of their skin, they must have all frozen to death. On closer inspection, some were missing body parts. Now I was frightened, but I still had to keep going. Before exiting the level, I was really hoping to see something resembling the previous forest animals in a living state. And sure enough, I did. That thing, that H.P. Lovecraft polar type thing. It was a creature much like the beaked sloth, except this thing had white fur and was more of a beaked gorilla. It was walking very slowly when I saw it, but I was happy to at least see something alive. However, it didn't stay that way for long. Wow, that blood's definitely 8-bit. Definitely. Yeah, I'm going to stop for now because my throat's hurting. So we're going to continue this next time. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, we're just going to continue reading this interesting little piece of media.